The Galactic Council believed it knew humanity very well. Humans were loud. Humans argued. Humans complained. Humans demanded fairness in every meeting. For many cycles, the Council had grown tired of them. Compared to ancient races with long histories and vast fleets, humans were young and impatient. The Council often spoke over them, ignored their votes, and smiled when their requests were denied. So when the silence came, no one was worried at first. On a normal rotation, Council monitoring stations noticed something strange. Human space traffic slowed down. Trade ships stopped sending routine signals. Civilian broadcasts from Earth went quiet, one by one. At first, officers assumed it was a technical failure. Humans had those often. Hours passed. Then a full cycle. Still no messages. The Council ordered a full scan of human space. What they found made the room uneasy. Every human world was quiet. Satellites still floated in orbit. Power grids still worked. Cities were visible from space, glowing softly at night. But there were no ships leaving ports. No voices on open channels. No emergency signals. No humans. Some council members laughed. They finally collapsed, one elder said calmly. They grew too fast. Another nodded. Emotions always destroy young species. But the scanners told a different story. There were no signs of war. No signs of disaster. No radiation. No mass graves. No wreckage in orbit. Humanity had not died. Humanity had left. The silence was too perfect. Homes were clean. Streets were empty but untouched. Vehicles stood where they were last parked. Schools, hospitals, and factories looked paused, as if time itself had stopped. This disturbed the observers more than destruction ever could. One junior analyst raised a trembling voice. Respected counselors, there are no panic markers. No rushed evacuations. The room grew quiet. Humans were known for chaos in crisis. If disaster struck, they ran, shouted, fought. Yet this departure showed planning. Order. Discipline. The Council ordered a probe to land on Earth. When the probe entered the atmosphere, no defenses activated. No warnings appeared. It landed in what had once been a crowded city. Wind moved loose papers across empty roads. Screens still played old advertisements to no one. Inside a large council hall on Earth, the probe found something waiting. A single human message. It was not hidden. It was placed where it could be found easily. The recording activated on its own. A human figure appeared. Calm. Tired. Not angry. We spoke, the human said. You did not listen. The council chamber filled with murmurs. The human continued, we asked for respect, not power. We asked for space, not control. You called us noisy. Weak. Temporary. The image paused for a moment, then resumed. So we chose silence. The recording ended. No threats. No warnings. Just truth. The council felt something unfamiliar, unease. Senior counselors demanded answers. Track them, one ordered. Find where they went. But long-range scanners returned nothing. No massive fleet trails. No energy spikes. No jump signatures. It was as if humanity had vanished between moments. A military advisor finally spoke. This level of coordination takes time. Years. Decades. That realization struck harder than any weapon. Humans had planned this while still attending meetings. While still arguing for fairness. While still being mocked. They had smiled, debated, and waited, all while preparing to leave the galaxy that refused to accept them. As the council session ended, one truth became clear. Humanity had not lost. Humanity had chosen to walk away. And for the first time in recorded history, the Galactic Council feared the silence of a species it once ignored. The Galactic Council did not sleep after that day. Silence had weight. It pressed on every chamber, every corridor, every mind. The laughter from before was gone. Now, only quiet voices remained, filled with doubt. Council fleets were ordered into human space. Not war fleets. Exploration fleets. They moved slowly, carefully, as if entering a sacred place. No alarm sounded. No resistance appeared. Human defense systems remained inactive, floating like forgotten relics. The first fleet reached a former human trade hub. It was perfect. Stations were clean. Docking bays were empty but powered. Cargo containers were stacked neatly, labeled and sealed. Maintenance drones still moved, repeating tasks for masters who would never return. One officer whispered, "They left nothing broken." That was the problem. Every species that had ever fallen left scars. Ruins. Graves. Warnings carved into stone or space. Humans left none of that. They left order. The fleet continued deeper. On a human colony world, the story was the same. Homes stood with doors unlocked. Tables were set. Children's toys rested on floors. Medical centers were stocked. Food reserves untouched. It looked like people had stepped outside for a moment, and never came back. Council scientists scanned for signs of forced movement. There were none. No fear hormones in the air. No panic patterns in neural residue. No emergency overrides. Even human pets were gone, taken with care. This was not an escape, a scientist said quietly. This was a decision. Fear spread through the fleet. If humans could move entire civilizations without chaos, then everything the Council believed about them was wrong. As reports flowed back, Council history keepers began digging into old records. They found ignored warnings. Forgotten requests. Human proposals marked not urgent or too emotional. Humans had spoken of unity. Of patience. Of long planning. The Council had laughed. One ancient counselor finally asked the question no one wanted to say aloud. If they planned this, why? The answer came sooner than expected. On the edge of human space, a deep scan array detected something strange. Not ships. Not signals. But absence. A pattern where space itself felt organized. A human archive station was found drifting near a dead star. It activated when approached. Another message played. This time, there was no image. Only a calm human voice. "We learned from you," it said. "From your history. Your wars. Your rises and falls." A pause. "You taught us that power listens only to power. And respect comes too late." The voice continued, slower now. "So we stepped away. To grow without chains. To learn without limits. To become something you could not control." Council members exchanged uneasy glances. A military strategist spoke in a low tone. "They didn't leave because they were weak." "No," another replied. "They left because they were patient." As fleets returned, something else began to happen across the galaxy. Smaller species started asking questions. Trade partners wondered where their human allies went. Border worlds felt exposed without human patrols. Economies slowed. Defense lines weakened. The galaxy had depended on humans more than it realized. And now, that support was gone. Back in the council chamber, a single thought echoed in every mind. Humans did not vanish to hide. They vanished to prepare. And somewhere beyond known space, a silent force was growing, watching, learning, waiting. For the first time, the Galactic Council understood a terrible truth. The silence was not empty. It was full of intent. The Galactic Council began to feel something new. Regret. It did not come all at once. It arrived slowly, like a shadow growing longer with every report. Human space was empty, yet its absence was changing the balance of the galaxy. Trade routes once protected by human fleets became dangerous. Pirate groups grew bold. Border systems asked for help, but the Council was slow to respond. Humans had filled gaps the Council never noticed. Now those gaps were wide open. Inside the Council archives, record keepers worked without rest. They replayed old sessions, old debates, old votes. Again and again, the same pattern appeared. Humans asked. The Council delayed. Humans warned. The Council dismissed. One recording played across the chamber. A human ambassador stood alone before the Council. Younger than most species present. Smaller. Clearly tired. "We are not asking for control," the human had said. "Only a voice that matters." Laughter followed in the old recording. An elder replied, "You have not earned that place yet." The recording ended. Silence filled the chamber again, heavier than before. Another record was opened. This one was older. A warning sent by humans about rising threats beyond known space. It had been labeled low priority. That threat was now active. Council scouts reported strange movements near the outer regions. Fleets of unknown design. Technologies that did not match any known species. And the humans were gone. A senior strategist finally spoke what many feared. If humans were still here, they would have noticed this first. That truth hurt. Humans had been curious by nature. Explorers. Observers. They looked where others did not. They asked questions others ignored. Now their eyes were gone. As days passed, more human stations activated messages. Each one played only once, then erased itself. One message said, "You taught us patience." Another said, "You taught us what silence can protect." The most disturbing message came from a forgotten outpost near the galactic edge. It showed a group of humans standing together. Soldiers. Scientists. Civilians. No fear in their faces. A human leader spoke clearly. "We waited for respect," they said. "We waited long enough." The message ended with coordinates. But when the Council tried to scan them, there was nothing. Empty space. Clean. Untouched. False coordinates. The realization struck deep. Humans were still one step ahead. Across the galaxy, other species began to speak openly. Many admitted the same thing. Humans had helped them. Protected trade. Shared medicine. Shared ideas. Never demanded loyalty. Never ruled by force. Now they were gone, and the galaxy felt colder. One small species sent a formal request to the Council. "Can you bring the humans back?" The Council had no answer. Military leaders argued. Some demanded the Council prepare for war. Others warned that chasing humans would be a mistake. "You do not hunt a species that left willingly," one elder said. "You wait, and hope." Hope was thin. Then came the final blow. Long-range sensors detected a controlled energy wave far beyond known space. Not an attack. Not a test. A signal. Clean. Calm. Human-made. It carried no words. No threats. Only proof. Human technology had advanced. Far beyond what the Council believed possible. The chamber filled with quiet fear. Humans had listened when ignored. Learned when mocked. Prepared when dismissed. And now, somewhere in the dark beyond the stars, humanity was no longer asking for a place in the galaxy. They were deciding whether the galaxy deserved one with them. The signal did not fade. It remained steady, calm, and perfectly controlled. No aggression. No urgency. Just presence. The kind that could not be ignored. The Galactic Council gathered in full session. For the first time in centuries, every seat was filled. No one joked. No one argued. The silence that once belonged to humans now lived in the chamber. Then the stars changed. Across multiple systems, space folded in smooth, silent waves. Not violent jumps. Not forced tears. It looked gentle. As if space itself welcomed what came through. Human ships emerged. They were nothing like before. Gone were the sharp angles and exposed weapons. These vessels were large, clean, and balanced. Their hulls reflected starlight softly. No weapons were aimed. No shields flared. They simply arrived. Human fleets spread across known space, stopping at safe distances. They did not surround worlds. They did not block trade routes. They positioned themselves where all could see. A message request appeared in the council chamber. Human origin. The council hesitated only a moment before accepting. A human figure appeared on the central display. Older than the ambassadors they remembered. Calm. Confident. Eyes steady. We return, the human said, not because we were lost, but because we are ready. No threats followed. The human continued, when we asked for a voice, we were young. When we were denied, we learned. The council listened in total silence. We left to grow without being shaped by your fear, the human said. We left to become what we needed to be. Images appeared behind the speaker. Human worlds, new and bright. Cities designed with care. Children of many species walking beside humans. Ships unlike anything the council had seen. Humanity had not been alone out there. They had made allies. We did not return for revenge, the human said. Revenge keeps you small. That line struck deeply. A council elder finally spoke. Then why return at all? The human did not hesitate. Because the galaxy is changing, they replied. And silence alone cannot guide it. New data flowed into the council systems. Threats from beyond the galactic edge. Movements the council barely understood. Patterns humans had already mapped. You missed this, the human said softly. We did not. Human fleets shared information freely. No demands. No conditions. This confused the council more than anger ever could. A military commander whispered, they could dominate us. Yes, another replied. But they choose not to. The human speaker finished with words that felt heavier than any threat. We stand beside you now, they said. Not below you. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, reactions spread fast. Smaller species felt hope return. Trade lanes stabilized. Defense lines strengthened. Human patrols worked with others, not over them. The council realized something painful. Humanity had outgrown the need for approval. They no longer asked for permission. They offered choice. As council members watched human ships drift calmly among the stars, one truth settled in their minds. The humans who returned were not the same ones who left. They were quieter. Stronger. United. And for the first time, the Galactic Council understood that respect given too late still changes who holds the future. The galaxy did not change in a single moment. It shifted slowly, carefully, like a great balance finding a new center. Human fleets did not take control. They did not remove the Galactic Council or destroy its systems. Instead, something more powerful happened. The galaxy began to listen to humans. Trade worlds asked for human mediation instead of council rulings. Border disputes were brought to human-led talks. Smaller species trusted humans because they remembered who had helped them before, without force or pride. The council was still there. But it was no longer first. Council members watched reports scroll across their screens. Human research teams were leading joint projects. Human explorers mapped dangerous regions once ignored. Human advisors helped stabilize worlds the council had failed to protect. And humans never once said, "You were wrong." That silence hurt more than accusation. One council elder finally requested a private meeting with the human leadership. It was granted without delay. When the connection opened, several humans appeared. Not soldiers. Not rulers. Ordinary leaders. Calm and focused. The elder spoke slowly. "We see now what we lost." The humans listened. "You asked for respect," the elder continued. "We gave delay. You asked for equality. We gave patience in return." The elder lowered their head. A gesture of humility few had ever seen from the council. "What do you want now?" the elder asked. The humans exchanged brief looks. Then one spoke. "We want the same thing we always wanted," the human said. "A future where no voice is ignored because it is young, small, or different." The elder's voice was quiet. "And if we fail again?" The human answered honestly. "Then the galaxy will move forward without you." There was no anger in the words. Only truth. After the meeting, the council issued a galaxy-wide statement. For the first time in its long history, it admitted fault. Old rules were changed. Voting systems were rebuilt. Power was shared, not held. But the damage could not be fully undone. The council would never again be what it once was. And that was the price. In human space, children learned the story of the silent departure. Not as a tale of victory, but as a lesson. They were taught that silence can be stronger than shouting. That walking away can be braver than fighting. That patience can change the future. Humans did not build statues to mock the council. They built schools. They built bridges between species. They built systems where no one had to beg to be heard. Years later, a young council member stood in the chamber and looked at an empty seat once reserved for human ambassadors. It remained empty by human choice. Not because they were excluded. But because they no longer needed it. The galaxy had learned too late, but it had learned. Humanity had vanished once to be ignored no more. And from that silence, a stronger future was born, one where respect was not demanded, but earned through action. The council would always remember the day humans went silent. Because that was the day the galaxy finally learned to listen.